11 Business Lessons from Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google. Number 11. It doesn't matter where you come from. My dad and mom did what a lot of parents did at the time. They sacrificed a lot of their life and used a lot of their disposable income to make sure their children were educated. Sundar Pichai. Since joining Google in 2004, Sundar Pichai has rapidly gained popularity and has had remarkable growth. Although he is the CEO of Google and its parent company Alphabet Inc., he didn't come from a prestigious background. Pichai grew up in Chennai, a city in southern India, where his mother worked as a stenographer before starting a family, and his father, an electrical engineer, oversaw a British conglomerate's component factory. Pichai and his younger brother slept in the living room of the family's two-room apartment. The Pichais didn't have a car, and Pichai received his first mobile phone when he was 12 years old. He was a brilliant student who studied engineering at the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology before receiving a scholarship to Stanford. He intended to get a PhD in materials science and semiconductor physics and work as an academic, but instead he dropped out to work as an engineer and product manager for Applied Materials, a Silicon Valley semiconductor manufacturer. He then moved on to Wharton, where he received his MBA in 2002. He then worked at McKinsey as a consultant until joining Google in 2004. In the real world, Pichai argues, it's necessary to try new things, but in the end, it's the idea that matters. It makes no difference where you come from because just one idea can have the ability to revolutionize the world. The lesson you need to take from this is it doesn't matter where you come from, what you have or don't have, what you lack or what you have too much of. But all you need to have is faith in God, an undying passion for what you do and what you choose to do in this life, and a relentless drive and the will to do whatever it takes to be successful in whatever you put your mind to. Number 10. Nice guys finish first. A person who is happy is not because everything is right in his life. He is happy because his attitude towards everything in his life is right. Sundar Pichai. There's one thing most people who've known Pichai agree on about. It is that he is a nice person. When talking about Pichai, Rick Osterloh, Google's hardware chief, once said, "He's really thoughtful and incredibly kind." Former executive Kaval Desai also agreed by saying, "Sundar's temperament is just excellent." So it appears reasonable to conclude that Google, one of the world's largest and most powerful corporations, is run by a stand-up person. Pichai has built a solid reputation for being well-liked throughout his tenure at Google, prompting Recode's Kara Swisher to Pichai's promotion as CEO as a definitive case of nice guys finish first. His methodical demeanor helped him climb to the top of the ranks at a corporation with a history of clashing personalities. When in 2004, Larry Page elevated Pichai to head of products, his number 2 exec said to Page of Pichai, "He has deep technical expertise, a great product eye, and tremendous entrepreneurial flair. This is a rare combination, which is what makes him a great leader." Pichai rose from product manager for Google's ubiquitous search bar to the man who spearheaded the creation of Google's Chrome browser, which birthed the Chrome operating system. Pichai then took over Gmail and Google Docs for 2 years until being put in charge of Android by Page in 2013. Because of Pichai, Android currently holds a 72% global share of the smartphone operating system market. In 2015, while naming him as his successor, Page said by way of explanation, "Sundar has been saying the things I would have said, and sometimes better, for quite some time now, and I've been tremendously enjoying our work together." Apart from his intelligence, Pichai's temperament is one of his best qualities. As Google VP Caesar Sengupta said, "I would challenge you to find anyone at Google who doesn't like Sundar." Number 9. You have to acknowledge problems. In August 2017, Pichai faced one of his most difficult challenges as Google's CEO, and it was one of several times when he was chastised for both not doing enough and doing too much. Here's what transpired. An internal document circulated by a Google employee named James Damore got leaked, which stated that biological differences rendered women less qualified for tech jobs than men. Pichai was in Europe on business and was ready to begin a family vacation when the dispute erupted internally and on social media. As soon as he became aware of the situation, he sent an email to Google's employees criticizing Damore's beliefs, but defending the employee's right to free expression. He notified them that he was cutting his vacation short to return to Mountain View right away, and he also fired Damore, as you might imagine. Both the Free Speech Brigade, which backed Damore's freedom to voice his viewpoint, and pro-diversity groups, which exposed Google's less-than-inclusive workplace, made Pichai public enemy number one almost immediately. But here's why Pichai checked every box in a flawless crisis response. He acknowledged there was an issue right away, even though some on his staff would have rather he wait until the dust had settled, and then he calmed employees who were concerned about various aspects of the issue. He showed up and called an all-employee meeting to express his willingness to examine the issue and its ramifications. The takeaway here is simple. You can't start solving problems unless you accept them, no matter how disagreeable they are. So if something isn't right, the first step is to accept it. You send a very significant message to the other person by saying, "I hear you and I understand you're troubled," and then you can begin exploring for solutions. Number 8. You can't please everybody. If you attempt to please everyone, you will end up pleasing no one. Sundar Pichai. Pichai, being the CEO of Google and Alphabet, is responsible for ensuring that his companies continue to progress and adapt in order to meet the needs of billions of customers and users across the world. That is not an easy task. Pichai, on the other hand, previously offered a single question that helps him recall his responsibilities. Bill Campbell, a former Columbia University football coach who is now a business coach, taught him the question. According to Pichai, whenever they met, Campbell would ask him the exact question: "What ties did you break this week?" Of course, Campbell wasn't talking about severing links in the sense of ending a relationship. Rather, he was instructing Pichai on how to break deadlocks. Pichai understood what Campbell meant by that question. When a problem reaches a leader's attention, there are usually at least two viable alternatives for moving ahead. Both solutions will have advantages and disadvantages, as well as a fair share of supporters for each. Making a choice may cause the leader to lose the support of half of their team, at least momentarily. Pichai's role as a leader, though, isn't to make everyone happy. He also shouldn't let things stand still in the hopes that one half of the team would alter their thoughts, or that the correct way ahead will appear out of nowhere. Rather, it is his responsibility to propel things forward. There's a big lesson here for rookie leaders, as well as those seasoned ones. You shouldn't try to please everyone because you simply can't. So how can you overcome your desire to please others and grow as a leader? Here are 3 ideas to consider. Make those you absolutely need to satisfy your first priority and forget about the rest. Make progress your goal rather than perfection. And take a look at the bigger picture. Number 7. Make your own opinion heard. It is not enough to simply have an opinion. The message must also reach individuals who are concerned with the issue. When confronted with the diversity crisis, Pichai acted quickly, handling the Damore situation in his trademark manner, with empathy and honest speech. Opinions may be quite dangerous in the corporate world. Holding a divisive viewpoint may harm your reputation. Expressing an opinion that differs from your boss's can put you in jeopardy, and expressing your viewpoint at the wrong moment might make you seem foolish. An old saying by Abraham Lincoln goes, "It's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt." And that appears to be the case in the corporate world. However, keeping your thoughts to yourself might be more harmful than saying them out loud. In reality, all ideas, plans, and decisions begin and finish with opinions. And if you constantly refuse to express yours, you'll be doing a disservice to both your business and your career. So the lesson here is that speaking up and voicing your opinion might be frightening. However, there are more compelling reasons to do so than not. Number 6. Think 5 steps ahead, always. In life, don't react, always respond. Sundar Pichai. To stay ahead in the game, you must prepare and plan your movements ahead of time. And when Microsoft debuted Bing unexpectedly, Pichai demonstrated this very ability. His readiness and insight paid out for Google since Chrome was already in the works. This is how it went down. Pichai began his career as a member of Google's search toolbar team. However, by making Bing the default search engine on Internet Explorer in 2006, Microsoft created a nightmare scenario for Google. To reduce the blow of Microsoft's transition, Pichai helped persuade computer manufacturers to pre-install the Google toolbar on their systems. After that incident, Pichai was able to persuade co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin that Google should develop its own browser. Fast forward to today, Google Chrome is the most widely used browser option out there. Number 5. Think big and be ambitious. At Google, we have an ambitious approach to things we do. We call it moonshots. Sundar Pichai. Nowadays, ambition, more often than not, gets a bad reputation, and it's viewed as a negative attribute rather than a favorable trait. Pichai believes that ambition is what motivates individuals to do great things. Without it, nothing remarkable would ever be accomplished. When it initially launched, Pichai set a rather ambitious aim for Chrome. He wanted 20 million active users in a year. Talking about it recently, he recalls, "Candidly, I thought there was no way we would get there. The aim of setting such a stupendous milestone was to push the products team to its boundaries using stretch key metrics in order to achieve the main goal, creating the next-generation web browser capable of hosting third-party web apps." Pichai was correct. People who tried Chrome loved it, but a setback resulted in a missed milestone, prompting Pichai to set a new aggressive target of 50 million active users for 2009, which the team missed by roughly 12 million this time. Larry Page stepped in to suggest it wasn't enough when Pichai set the following year's target at 100 million, tripling the previous year's goal after putting in place measures like advertising, quicker code, and distribution arrangements. "My target," he pointed out, touched only 10% of the world's 1 billion internet users at the time, Pichai remarked. Larry Page wished for Pichai to be even more ambitious, since his ambition was obviously yielding high dividends. Pichai once said, "We have always had an ambitious approach at Google. We want to work on things billions of people will use every day." The lesson is fairly simple. Be ambitious, set a higher goal than you think you can achieve, then and only then will you be able to meet or even exceed your expectations. Number 4. Focus on your team's success, not just your own. As a leader, it is important to not just see your success, but focus on the success of others. Sundar Pichai. Pichai thinks that every time your team succeeds, you succeed. As a result, your primary priority should be the individuals who work for you, not the bosses, investors, or even customers. Instead, you'll serve as the glue that binds them all together. Assist your team in shining so that you can shine as well. On a visit to his alma mater, the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, on January 5th, Pichai highlighted that collaborative ability is at the heart of his leadership style. "When you're trying to run something at a scale of Google, we now have over 60,000 people, and you rely on other strong leaders. A lot of what I do is, I have an outstanding leadership team. It's learning to let go and empowering people at all levels of the company and trusting them to do the right thing. As a leader, a lot of your job is to make those people successful. It's less about trying to be successful yourself and more about making sure you have good people, and your work is to remove that barrier, remove roadblocks for them so that they can be successful in what they do. So that's how I've always thought about it. I always value teamwork quite a bit, and I think it's really important to build companies where people really want to work together. Everything comes out of that. So setting up collaborative cultures is another big thing I've been trying to focus on. Number 3. Saying "I don't know" is a sign of strength. During job interviews, we all want to deliver responses that set us apart from the competition. That involves understanding how to respond to any question, even the tough ones that are meant to stump you. But what if you have no idea how to answer a question? Pichai was a McKinsey consultant when he applied for the position of Vice President of Product Management at Google in 2004. He was asked his opinions on Gmail at an early interview, which, when you think about it, was an obvious topic to ask the ideal candidate who would assist lead product development. The issue was that Gmail had just recently been revealed, literally on the day of the interview, so Pichai had absolutely no knowledge about Gmail. The majority of individuals would have tried for an answer, making one on the spot. Perhaps one would have speculated how Gmail might fit within Google's suite of tools and applications. Perhaps one would have tried explaining the flaws in competing email solutions and how Gmail can address them. Perhaps one would have contemplated how an email service will add to Google's flywheel. The majority of people would have given at least an answer. Pichai paused for a bit before responding, "I don't know, I haven't used it." Pichai was stumped when it came to the Gmail question. He didn't know how to respond to the question because no one outside of Google had ever seen the product. Despite this, he was hired. Why? Of course, he was a strong contender, but most importantly because he recognized he didn't know everything. "I don't know" usually leads to "Can you help me?" The strongest team develops as a unit and learns from one another. To do so, though, every member of the team must be vulnerable at times. To be willing to accept a flaw, a shortcoming, and when you've made a mistake. To be able to say, "I don't know," then ask, "Can you help me?" That request demonstrates vulnerability, respect, receptivity to feedback, and a desire to improve. Each of these characteristics is possessed by the most capable leaders. Don't see it as a sign of weakness when a job prospect responds to an interview question with, "I don't know." It could be a symbol of strength. Number 2. Follow your dreams and take risks. Focus on education is a big strength. I want to see young people focus on creativity and take more risks. Sundar Pichai. Pichai was once asked if he was a risk taker, and he replied with, "Yes, when the situation warrants it. There are times when you need to take a significant risk to get the outcome you want, and you go for it." As one example, I worked to launch a new browser at a time when the odds were pretty daunting. There were already plenty of browsers out there and not a ton of internal support for the project, at least not initially. But the opportunity was so significant we couldn't ignore it. And so we built Chrome, which now provides a window to the web for more than 1 billion people. Pichai believes that good companies do whatever it takes. The lesson is that taking a risk may result in enormous rewards and fresh concepts. You'll have to venture outside of your comfort zone and take chances if you want to expand your business. Furthermore, Pichai feels that it is important to follow your dreams and heart. Do something that excites you. Do that thing which motivates you from inside and you are passionate about. Success will follow you for sure. The lesson is that you can succeed if you follow your dreams and are passionate about what you do. However, pursuing your dreams is unquestionably challenging, and it may also be the worst business move you ever make. According to research, if you don't pursue your dreams and aren't passionate and interested in what you do, you're more likely to fail miserably in your career. But if you follow your dreams and are enthusiastic about what you do, you can undoubtedly carve out a place for yourself and make a fortune. Number 1. Don't be afraid of failure. Wear your failures as a badge of honor. Sundar Pichai. Pichai has stated on multiple occasions that failure is just as much a part of the package as success. This attitude toward failure is what distinguishes outstanding businesses. If you achieve everything, Pichai feels you are either exceptional, which is incredibly improbable, or you are not setting very high objectives in the first place. If you don't fail sometimes, you are not being ambitious enough. Every day, ambitious entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley battle to ensure that their innovative enterprises succeed. But not everyone is fortunate enough to succeed right away. In reality, while you're battling your way to the top, setbacks are unavoidable. Pichai says, setbacks don't matter. Keep your dreams alive. How life plays up is entirely on you and no one else can decide. Pichai believes that failing may be beneficial if you strive to learn useful lessons from your mistakes. If you learn from a setback, according to the Google CEO, it's no longer a setback but a learning experience. Pichai says, you might fail a few times, but that's okay. You end up doing something worthwhile which you learn a great deal from.